Hey, you know what it is back in the day? We got rappers getting jumped on live. Make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, let's get straight into this video. Come on. All right, let's see this.
In this video, I'll be talking about some of the craziest rapper fights. NLE Choppa and a fan. Earlier this year, NLE Choppa generated a lot of buzz on the internet after finding himself caught in an unexpected situation. What was the situation about? Well, he got involved in a brawl with an individual at the airport. Video footage on how the whole situation went down made rounds on the internet. In the video, NLE Choppa could be seen strolling through an airport terminal while being filmed by an individual. At first, it seems as if the individual was only a friend of NLE Choppa who had accompanied him and was making a video for his social media post. But he turned out to be a troublemaker instead. The individual behind the camera could be heard
been jumped before or nah?
Speaking off camera. He had said the following to NLE Choppa: "Are you NLE? I asked you mad times. What? Stop playing with me." In a matter of seconds, the camera fell to the ground and the visuals were cut out. Even though it was all black and nothing could be seen at that point, the audio was still active. The sound of shouting and all what seemed like a struggle could still be heard. After a few seconds, the video cut to a man making a phone call and boasting about how he had just beaten up NLE Choppa. As it turned out, the boasting man was the individual who had been behind the camera and taunting NLE Choppa. This video was what initially got out, and fans believed for a while that NLE Choppa had indeed been beaten up by the man. But another video of the airport altercation soon emerged, and it offered a different perspective on how the fight had really played out. As it turned out, NLE Choppa hadn't been knocked out by the man. The new video showed that NLE Choppa had thrown the first punch after obviously getting agitated by the man who was following him. The other man also returned blows of his own, and at that point, the camera he was holding had fallen to the ground. NLE Choppa eventually slipped due to how smooth the floor had been.
Flip my ass, my nigga.
And coupled with the flip-flops he was wearing, he didn't stay on the ground for long but got back up immediately and walked towards the man to continue fighting, but the man ran away. When this got out, it sparked a lot of reactions online, and people wondered why the man had initially lied that he had beaten up NLE Choppa. It wasn't long before rumors started going around that the man was an NBA YoungBoy fan because he had allegedly thrown up an NBA.
You throw a punch at a nigga and you slip niggas would say, "Oh, you got knocked out. Oh, you got your ass beat." Bro, I slipped, my nigga. Come on.
NBA 4KT gang sign. This rumor was easy to believe due to the bad blood between NBA YoungBoy and NLE Choppa. And before the airport altercation happened, there had been growing tension between the two artists. NLE Choppa would eventually throw light on the whole situation during an interview by making it clear that the man had not been a fan of NBA YoungBoy, but instead was a fan of his. First up is Kodak Black. Over the past few years, Kodak Black has been faced with a series of legal trouble which has seen him in and out of jail. Back in May 2019, he was arrested on 2 counts for making a false statement on a governmental form. This was due to a situation that occurred back in January of the same year, in which he had made a false statement to buy firearms. While awaiting sentencing for the charge, he had gotten into a fistfight in jail in October of 2019, and the fight ended with the security guard getting hospitalized. So how did this fight go down? According to reports, Kodak Black had gotten into a fight with an inmate. The reason why the altercation happened is not clear, but upon seeing the fighting inmates, correction officers had intervened to break them up. In the process, Kodak Black was pepper sprayed by a guard, and he retaliated by throwing punches at the guards and grabbing hold of another guard's genitals. In the end, it took about 4 guards to subdue him, but it was too late for the guard whose genitals he had grabbed the hold.
Hey, yo, I just realized what this nigga... Yo, that nigga gay.
In the end,
this nigga grabbed a nigga.
And he retaliated by throwing punches at the guards and grabbing hold of another guard's genitals.
2 niggas? 2 dicks is crazy. You grabbing 2 niggas' dicks.
In the end, it took about 4 guards to subdue him, but it was too late for the guard whose genitals he had grabbed a hold of. Kodak Black's firm hold on the guard's testicles was said to have caused a breach of the guard's abdomen and intestinal walls. The guard was hospitalized with a hernia and had to undergo surgery. This fight incident was not used against Kodak Black during his sentencing, but he still ended up getting slammed with about 46 months in prison due to the weapons charge. Kodak Black later took to his Instagram to address the fight incident. In a lengthy post on Instagram, he had claimed to have been drugged without his knowledge. He had said the unknown substance gave him an out-of-body experience and had him feeling like he was possessed and dying slowly. Due to the way he felt, he had gone to the CO's office to seek medical attention, but for some reasons he was denied. This left him in a state of paranoia, and shortly after that he had gone into a fight with the inmate. The substance he had been drugged with still remains a mystery, since it didn't turn up when a urine analysis test was conducted on him. Also in his Instagram post, Kodak Black said he was placed in solitary confinement under inhumane conditions, and even said that he had not inflicted injury on the guard whose genitals he had grabbed. He claimed that the guard had inflicted injuries on himself from monetary gains. Part of the post he made on Instagram reads, "I was beaten so brutally that I had to be taken to the box in a wheelchair. I've been here for 45 days without commissary, hygiene, stressed out, and on psych meds. Having to mourn the loss of my brother Juice WRLD behind the doors. Prior to this, there were a few inmates who intentionally beat up an officer and no charges were filed. Meanwhile, I get into a fight with another inmate and this officer jumps in to inflict harm on himself and capitalize on my status as a local celebrity. I had officers tell me that the CO was okay that night and that he's trying to go this route because he self-checked himself in the hospital. I've also heard officers tell me that the CO has been back to FDC and bragging that he'll get $250,000 from me. I want to shed this light on police brutality and the tactics they use to cover the behinds. Hashtag justice for Kodak." Well, that wasn't the end of Kodak Black's trouble in prison. In May of the following year, while still serving his prison sentence, news got out that he had been attacked and severely beaten by about 7 prison guards.
Damn.
During the process, it was said that the prison guards had struck him in the head several times with metal objects. After that, one of the guards had then flicked Kodak Black's genitals and said, "You're not so gangsta now. You're gonna need bigger balls to survive." It's not clear why the guards had treated him in such a manner, and Kodak Black had not been available at the time to give his side of the story. This was because he was denied access to phone and visitations for
like police officers can't get arrested. Like, come on, like, that's
months
not crazy with all that
punishment
stuff.
for the October 2019 fight incident he had gone involved in. Kodak Black's team and lawyer had gotten to know about the details of the beating from inmates at the prison where he was locked up. Kodak Black would eventually breathe a sigh of relief in January 2021 after he was granted a presidential pardon by ex-President Donald Trump. Kodak Black's commitment to supporting a variety of charitable efforts was cited by the White House as part of the reasons he was granted a pardon. Since his release from prison, he has maintained a clean sheet and hopefully it stays that way so he can focus on making his music. The next rapper I'll be talking about is K-Flock. K-Flock is a well-known name on the streets of the Bronx for his music and for his involvement in the deadly gang war that's seen many dead. At only the age of 18, he was making waves on the New York drill rap scene until the long arm of the law caught up with him. K-Flock was taken into custody after he turned himself in last year, December. He was charged with first-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon in connection to the shooting death of a 24-year-old man who goes by the name Oscar Hernandez. K-Flock has since been locked up in Rikers Island. A month after K-Flock's arrest, rumors got out that he had gotten into trouble while in prison. The detail of the rumor was that a rival gang member had spotted K-Flock and had beaten him up. It was said that he had suffered severe injuries as a result of the beating and had to be transported to the hospital wing of Rikers Island. The details of this alleged fight is—
I literally don't get why niggas jump with like somebody like run to ones. Like, you can't be fair. Like, run to ones, my nigga. Like, you're that scared of getting your ass. Be like, you gotta have your boyfriend to come in and save your life, my nigga. Like, run to ones. Like, just be fair, my nigga. Like you lose, like, running back again. Like, shit. Like, I don't get niggas that have to get their boyfriend to come in and save them. But what?
It's quite limited and no one knows how it started. Well, this story of K-Flock getting beat up in prison went viral and K-Flock himself got to know about it. He immediately released an audio saying that he had not been beaten up while in jail and it was only rumors. At the moment, no one knows what the truth of the situation is. It might all be rumors, and at the same time, K-Flock might be trying to hide something. Who knows, he might not want the story of him getting beat up going around because it might make him appear weak. But regardless of whether K-Flock got beat up or not, he still faces an uncertain future due to the murder charge he's faced with. Talking about the murder charge, there have been contradicting accounts of what really went down on the day of Oscar Hernandez's murder. According to the authorities, Hernandez had been in a barbershop waiting to get a haircut. K-Flock had then opened up the door of the barbershop and confronted Hernandez, asking him what he was looking for. Hernandez had then walked out to meet K-Flock, and an argument had occurred, which ended with K-Flock pulling out a gun and shooting
Damn, he didn't even get fresh before.
Hernandez in
Damn, you should let
the
them
neck and
get fresh.
back. Well,
They
that was the
fucked.
story the authorities
Like,
gave
come on
because
now.
surveillance footage from outside the barbershop tells a different story. In the footage, K-Flock is seen walking down the street with two young girls. He and the girls walk past the barbershop, and a few seconds later, Hernandez walks out the barbershop and headed in the same direction as K-Flock.
You guys really think Flock is coming out or not?
Several seconds later, people came out the barbershop and appeared to be alarmed by something as they stare in the direction that K-Flock and Hernandez had gone. Their surveillance footage has gotten people wondering if K-Flock is actually guilty of the crime. Well, at the moment, K-Flock is yet to be declared guilty or innocent of the crime and is currently sitting in jail awaiting his fate.
The baby and Brandon Bills. The baby has been said to have a short temper, so it's not surprising that he makes the list again. In February 2022, he got into a public fistfight with
fighting like on the regular.
Brandon Bills, the brother of his ex-lover, Danny Lay. The fight had stemmed from a domestic dispute that occurred between the baby and Danny Lay back in November 2021. The baby at the time had wanted Danny Lay and their 3-month-old child out of his home and didn't sit well with her. It had resulted in a verbal dispute, and part of it had been recorded and broadcasted on the baby's Instagram Live. Later in an Instagram post, the baby would claim that he had been physically assaulted by Danny Lay during their dispute, and he would then call the authorities on her. Danny Lay had eventually moved out, but not before she was humiliated by the baby publicly, who had called her his certified side bitch in one of the broadcast disputes. This situation did not sit well with Brandon Bills, who felt that his sister's humiliation by the baby wasn't going to go unpunished. Brandon Bills had then made a video where he called out the baby and let him know that he wasn't pleased with the way he had treated his sister. Brandon Bills also appeared in an interview with TMZ where he had challenged the baby to a celebrity boxing match. Tensions were rising, and a fight between the baby and Brandon Bills was inevitable. The fight had eventually occurred at a bowling alley in Topanga, California, and several footage of the fight had circulated online. It's not clear how the fight had started, but it was said that Brandon Bills had approached the baby at the bowling alley to speak to him about the domestic dispute that occurred between him and his sister. Well, the baby was said to have attacked without waiting to hear what Brandon Bills had to say. The fight had been recorded from different angles by the individuals present in the bowling alley at the time. In the first few seconds of one of the footage, the baby had thrown a series of punches at Brandon Bills as they both stood on the slippery bowling alley lane. A few minutes later, a group of men, who were believed to be part of the baby's crew, joined in on the fight. Some have even said that one of the men was the baby's security guard. The men swarmed around Brandon Bills and proceeded to push at him, while also trying to maintain their balance on the slippery bowling lane. At a point, one of the baby's men grabbed hold of Brandon Bills' hair, and another one body slammed him onto the floor. The fight ended as soon as it began, leaving Brandon Bills bloodied. Authorities were called to the scene of the fight, and they would meet with Brandon Bills, who filed a police report. In the fight, Brandon Bills sustained a couple of injuries, but refused any form of medical treatment when offered. After the footage of the fight went online, it sparked several reactions from people, with many calling the fight unfair. The baby was also tagged as a coward for allowing his goons to get involved in the fight and beat up Brandon Bills. The fight also prompted a response from his ex-lover, Danny Lay, who took to her Instagram to say the following: "Lame as hell, running up on my brother on some slippery-ass floors with 5 or 6 of your boys while he's by himself and not even touching him. Lame and so sad. I pray this stops now because this is my family and I got a daughter to raise." As a punishment, the management of the bowling alley where the fight took place banned the baby and his crew. Apart from the fact that the baby and his crew had disrupted public peace, representatives of the bowling alley had claimed to have spent $250 in purchasing cleaning supplies, which were used to clean up a drink the baby had thrown and spilled during the fight. About a week after the fight, Brandon Bills filed a lawsuit against the baby. In the complaint, Brandon Bills stated that the baby had aggressively approached him at the bowling alley and threatened him in a loud voice. He followed by saying that the baby had then physically assaulted him, causing severe injury and pain. Brandon Bills then claimed that he didn't fight back and even attempted to avoid contact. He also claimed that the fight happened suddenly and without warning, and this left him physically and psychologically damaged, with injuries that were permanent. In the lawsuit, the baby was accused of assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and negligence. In response, the baby would claim that his actions had been in self-defense. Well, things took a new turn after the lawsuit against the baby hit a brick wall. This occurred because Brandon Bills, for some reason, refused to continue cooperating with the authorities. According to reports, the investigation into the fight was still active, but due to a lack of cooperation and communication from Brandon Bills, there was little chance for the case to Up next is Kesu. The Jacksonville...
Don't know who this is. Yeah. I don't know this thug. No offense. Okay. Casanova.
Back before Casanova started his career as a rapper, he was locked up
ever coming out. What you guys
in
think?
jail for about 7 years. During
7 years is crazy.
In this period, he got into several fights with fellow inmates, and this landed him in solitary confinement a lot of the times. Due to the fights he was always getting into while in jail, he was feared by other inmates. In an interview, he had even attempted to stab in 3 to 4 inmates. While in prison, he also formed a bond with ASAP Rocky, who got locked up in jail for only 2 weeks. After Casanova had served his sentence and was released from jail, he focused on his rap career and was making a name for himself on the rap scene when he got into trouble with the law once again. On December 1st, 2020, a warrant was issued for his arrest. According to the warrant, he was the leader of a criminal gang known as the Untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation Gang. He was among 18 alleged members of the Untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation Gang charged in connection with various racketeering, murder, narcotics, firearms, and fraud offenses. After the warrant for his arrest got out, he turned himself in to the authorities. In addition to these charges, he was also slammed with an attempted murder charge due to a shooting that had occurred at a Miami club. He was charged alongside another guy who goes by the name Jared Crisper for their involvement in the shooting that left 2 individuals injured. After about a year of sitting behind bars, he took to his Instagram to make a plea for help. In his Instagram post, he talked about how he had been incarcerated for almost a year and how he had spent a significant amount of money on legal fees to prove his innocence. He also further stated that the charges against him were false and they don't represent or reflect the person he was. A few weeks back, he made a revelation on his Instagram that he had been in solitary confinement for about a month. The details of how he got into solitary confinement are unknown.
Like a month is crazy. Like you gotta go insane. Like at that point, like nothing, like no human interaction at all for a month. Like you just get food handed to you. Like you gotta be going crazy. Like I don't even think you get books at all. You're just looking at a wall. Like and you go to bed. Like and it's just dark. Like come on, dog. Like no human interaction. Crazy. Like yeah, I might look.
No, but some
don't know. Like shit. Like,
fans are speculating that he might have gotten into a fight in prison. If Casanova is found guilty of the charges, he might be looking at life in prison.
The Baby is one rapper that has a reputation for getting into beefs and involving himself in public fistfights. So it wasn't surprising when he took things out with
fighting your own artist is crazy.
One of his label signees, who goes by the name Wisdom. The incident occurred during Friday night's Spring Jam 2022 event in Columbus, South Carolina. Video footage of the altercation got online and began to make rounds. In the footage, the Baby could be seen walking backstage at the Colonial Life Arena with a group of men behind him. He suddenly turned and throws punches at Wisdom, who had been standing close to a wall. Wisdom also returned with punches of his own, and the 2 men would continue to trade blows from there. The fistfight would have escalated, but security guards who were present at the time quickly broke them up. The Baby and Wisdom would then trade more words before walking away. It's not really clear what caused the situation, but an Instagram user who had posted the video of the fight and was at the scene of the incident had said that the Baby had a solid reason for acting the way he did. The Baby had just recently signed Wisdom to his billion-dollar Baby Entertainment label, and after this fight, Wisdom's stay at the label might just be coming to an end soon. But hopefully, it doesn't come to that and the issue is sorted out amicably. Alright, so that's all I've got for you on this video. Feel free to let me know what you think about it. Hey you, yeah you.
Now this video is crazy, but come on, dog. Like, but what should we react to next? And yeah, come on, rappers getting jumped. Ooh.